Hello, everyone. Welcome to Star Trek Adventures story, Starship Insignia. Those are words in the wrong order. Hi, welcome to our brand new Craftic Stories production, Starship Insignia. Thank you for the intro liking. I spent a lot of time on it to make it really good. Just a lot of time.
A lot.
This is a brand new system, probably new to most people. It is a 2D20 system, Star Trek Adventures is. Please go check it out. It is done by, yes, 2D20. It is done by Modifius. We will be going over some of the mechanics as we go on, so that way we explain what is going on, since this is pretty new to everyone. So, with that in mind, why don't we go around and we introduce our table? So,
Yep. Hi, I'm Justin, the goofy one showing off dice. I will be playing Ensign Bana Indari. Bana, he, they, is a joined trill with 11 lifetimes of experience, which mostly just means he's confused a lot about who's remembering what. He will be mostly at engineering and tactical.
Hi, everybody. I am Kayla. I will be playing Bryce Winston tonight. Her pronouns are she, her. She is your scientist. I know
scientist
things.
works. Scientist.
She works in science. Cool. Yeah, that's fine.
She's training to be a science officer.
Yeah.
I like science, okay? It's cool.
Hashtag women in STEM. That's right.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go. Perfect.
I guess that means I'm next. I'm
Yeah.
Abe. Everybody knows me. I will be playing Ensign Khan, who is a Vulcan, he, him, who is training to be a medical officer / starship commander after the shenanigans that have occurred previously.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Fair assessment.
Get ready to Tokyo Drift.
All right, I guess that leaves me. Hi, I'm Alex. I will be playing Ensign Trop. He is a Denobulan, he, him. And he is mostly operations with a focus in comms.
Excellent. Excellent. So, we've got a lot of exciting things. Also, hi, I'm Tyler. I'm the GM. I will be what my crew here has lovingly called the Q of the situation, because I'm putting them into all of these situations. I'm very passionate about Star Trek. It is something that is super important to me. Designing this layout, creating the intros is all something that is like... It was a lot of work, but it was a labor of love. So I'm going to try and do the Star Trek universe great. I'm going to start off with a little bit of information. Our players here, this isn't the first time they have played together as these characters. This is actually the third time they've played as these characters. And because of that, we have some information to tell the audience that happened behind the scenes. We initially joined these characters as Starfleet cadets back on Earth at Starfleet Academy. And we started them off doing the Kobayashi Maru test. It is the very final test as a cadet of Starfleet. It basically tells Starfleet how you're going to react in a no-win scenario. The Kobayashi Maru is literally, you will always die. You will never succeed. And there is a giant computer that controls that and makes that happen. This crew here, because of some shenanigans and a NPC that was trying to sabotage the test and actually cheat to win the Kobayashi Maru, something happened. Another cadet cheated, so therefore, some systems got confused in the computer. Ultimately, they Tokyo drifted the Enterprise. They then Top Gunned the Enterprise. They then emergency salsa separated the Enterprise to blow up half of the Enterprise to take out count them, 6 Romulan warbirds, about twice their size. Then they crash landed on a planet. Again, this is all simulation. This happened in what's called a holodeck, which basically it is a VR/AR immersive room that is significantly better than anything we could ever produce here. And they crash landed the ship, and they got a 60% survival rate of their ship's crew, with everyone from the Kobayashi Maru alive. They were taken in by their superior officers, and they were quoted as being lucky. However, we all know that, yeah, they kind of won. And they shouldn't have.
What you gonna do?
That was just session 1. Now we move into session 0.2, in which the now ensigns are on their way to their first assignment. They didn't cheat. Surprisingly, the ensign that was the cadet that was cheating, they kicked him out of the simulate. They kicked him out. And
we caught him and we busted his ass.
But it's because of the cheating that cadet was doing that caused holodeck safeties to turn off and a whole bunch of craziness to happen. Oh, I forgot to mention, they blew up part of Starfleet Academy because of it.
Just a little bit.
The computer that manages the holodeck simulation for the Kobayashi Maru imploded.
So that was session 0.1. Session 0.2, they're on their way to their first assignment aboard the USS Insignia, the ship that you saw in the intro. And on their way, they encounter thank you, Nikki. On their way, they encounter a distress signal that shouldn't make any sense for where they are. They go and investigate, as all good Starfleet officers would, and they come across what is called an Iconian gateway. For those unaware of what an Iconian gateway is, it is basically super advanced transporter technology by a race that lived millennia ago. They were considered some of the predecessors to the bipedal humanoid-like races of the galaxy. And how they conquered worlds was by using Iconian gateways, aka they could open up a gateway and go through it and they would be on another world. So very, very, very powerful technology that they came across. They went through the gateway. They met a whole bunch of lemur people. Peter Piper picked a peck of peppers.
Lemurians, call them by their proper names, sir.
Lemurians, correct. Lemur people named Lemurians who lived in trees and whole bunch. They bipedal lemurs. Hi, Ollie. So they come across a little conundrum. They can't get back to where they were. Instead, they have to help the Lemurians figure out what's going on with their planet, which is going to basically pull itself apart in about 2 weeks. They were responding to a distress signal from a SS Tesla, a civilian ship that crash landed. They actually ended up they actually ended up a little out of time and a lot out of place. So they helped the Lemurians ultimately by discovering that there was a broken Iconian gateway big enough to fit a very large transport vessel, basically a crew transport vessel. And what happened is they repaired it, and they repaired it so well, they were able to even add a extra screen to what they were seeing. So Iconian gateways flip between different scenes, different points and different places in time and space. And they actually found one that shouldn't have made any sense. They go through this gateway and they discover that there is an Iconian gateway aboard the USS Enterprise NCC 1701F. And our characters here would realize that the Enterprise F doesn't exist yet. In fact, it shouldn't exist. The E is currently in action, just like Abe said. And then our good friend Bana here, the ever so great engineer and tactical officer that he is, with 11 lifetimes and a whole lot of anxiety sometimes, he goes through to download some of the tactical and engineering specifications of this ship, and actually finds out who the captain is of the Enterprise F. The captain of the Enterprise F is none other than Rakan. However, Bana comes back through the portal with all of this information and lies. They are able to portal back to their runabout and set up again, and everything is hunky-dory, and they're on their way to their first assignment again. And that's where we start. Anything I missed? I think that's a pretty good wrap up.
That's definitely the big stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's all the high points.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Except, what I lied about.
But they don't know that.
Yes.
There will be a test.
There will be a test. Yes. So congratulations. You have you solved my Iconian mystery. The date is now, the star date is now 75732.9, otherwise known as Yuletide, around 8 p.m. You're all excited, and you're all kind of relaxing, as the trip has been rather boring at this point. However, there is a small holographic fir tree in the aft corner of the command module. And I want to know, out of all of you, who would have turned on a holographic Yuletide tree for Yuletide? Trop and Bryce probably would have collaborated.
Well,
It was Bryce, 100%.
Well, Trop would have, he's comms, but he's primarily a diplomat. He would be pretty well versed in all of the more common festivities, at least of the races and areas that his crewmates are from, and so he probably would have found something about Yuletide and gone to Bryce and asked her about it and been like, what exactly is a fir tree? Because I looked at it and that it doesn't make any sense to me, because obviously there are probably a number of different trees that have been called fir trees that are not actually Christmas trees at that point.
Bana just wants to know, who makes a tree out of fur?
Does Bryce
different spelling?
It doesn't matter. Just have some more L.
Okay.
Also, I forgot to mention, the instructor that they saved from a burning holodeck back in Starfleet Academy gifted Rakan a case of Romulan ale, a illegal substance in the Federation, as it is known to get people extremely drunk very fast. Also, it's Romulan. So, a little bit
Which
of
we are not currently allied with. Wait.
However,
We just became it.
so welcome to World Meta 101. For those who know the Star Trek universe, we are actually placing this in the year 2400. So about 400 years into our future, and about 25-ish years past the next generation, and 1 year after the current season of Picard. So we are in the future, and it allows us to play a little. So the Federation which is the all-encompassing governing body of Starfleet and a whole bunch of different worlds, has come up with a shaky but decent treaty with the Romulan Free Republic. Sorry, I had to remember my notes there for a second. The Romulan Free Republic, which is one of 3 separate Romulan factions trying to vie for power for all of the space that the Romulan race held before their home world tragically exploded. Romulus tragically exploded due to a nearby star going supernova. It is a lot to remember. So the Romulan star went supernova due to a failed experiment in red matter. And for those who know the JJ verse, that would be the creation of the JJ verse, and this is the aftermath in the Prime universe. Thanks, Nikki. With that, there is a shaky peace treaty. However, when you're within Romulan space and your Federation vessel, you must ping back your call sign and your location data. Our ensigns now decided to follow the rules when they entered Romulan space. So nothing really came of that. However, Romulan ale is still illegal because it's very much good alcohol. Bryce, would you have informed your crew members of all of the traditions revolving around Yuletide?
Oh, of course. 100%. The whole 9 yards. As the human on the crew.
Great.
Wait, so you're telling me a fat man comes down your chimney dressed in a red suit and brings you presents? Why?
It was mainly just to get younger children to behave. The stories go way back. So it's a time of celebration and of giving. We eat a lot, we drink a lot, and there's a tree with lights on it. That's all you really need to take away from this. It's an excuse to celebrate.
I would think the fat guy breaking into your house would be the threat. That's the good thing?
Well, no.
Okay. I like the lights, though. The lights are fun.
So there really isn't a guy breaking into your house. It's just an old legend to get kids to behave.
So you break into your own house.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah. Yeah, and then you just get gifts. And people wear really terrible looking sweaters, and they drink really disgusting drinks called eggnog. I don't recommend. But, to each their own. And people usually make cookies. And it's a good time to be with family.
It's amazing how many different celebrations I can be prepared for with just lights, some various variations on music, food, and alcohol.
Okay, now the music is terrible. I will admit, Christmas music is just obnoxious.
At that point, the computer hears the word Christmas, and Mariah Carey's All I Want for Christmas suddenly starts playing through the loudspeakers. I don't want a lot of
Computer off. Computer off.
The
I
computer.
didn't realize that Christmas was a romantic holiday.
It's not.
It's
It's just hallmarked that way.
Oh, you said the
You
word.
said
You said the eggnog was bad. Jesus.
The computer
That was
responds.
You trying to play the instrument, Anna?
Hey, I'm getting better.
If you say so.
So, Bana, what instrument do you try to play?
The Vulcan Lirette, which I haven't actually played in 7 lifetimes now. But, it's one of those things, you get a new memory, you want to try it out, and it's relaxing to play badly.
Bryce just sticks in earplugs.
Oh, jeez.
Nope.
All right. So as you're all discussing what Yuletide means and what family means to each other, you all have been through a lot already. You've all gotten to really know each other. You're only about 12-ish days out from your destination of Norenda Station, and in true Starfleet and Star Trek fashion, a distress signal comes through, pinging the board. Who's sitting up at the command seat and the pilot seat?
Rob would probably be somewhere around there because he's typically the one who flies.
And
At least with this
Rakan
group.
would be sitting in command.
Anna's
Great.
at engineering making the lights flash.
So the lights in the entire runabout, which is a good decent length large, are just like changing, like going from red, green, purple, blue, just all of the different colors that the lights can produce.
Next time you're only allowed 2 glasses of the L.
So
The one brought out the bottle and didn't keep it from me.
So you hear the computer say, the distress signal comes up, and it is a team of Federation scientists on a nearby planet. The planet is called Xerxes 4. It's an uninhabited Class M planet. There's actually a lot of information about it in the database, as these are Starfleet scientists that were left here to study the flora and fauna, regularly pinged in reports, and it's all pulling up for you very easily as you cross-search Xerxes 4 and everything. And
What's the message say?
the message is garbled, but it offers some information by saying there's a science team, we're in danger, and a whole bunch of static. Just a whole bunch of static. And
Is there anything on the planet that would cause the static that would be immediately obvious?
there, in one of the reports that you can pull up on the planet left from, Starfleet reports, there are regular ion storms that happen in the planet's atmosphere, which can disrupt communications. However, they're pretty benign for the most part. It's just for, say, 15 minutes, you won't be able to get a clear signal out, but once the ion storm moves out, you're perfectly all right. So chances are that's what a Starfleet officer could assume. That's what's happening.
All right. Knowing that, Trop would quickly try to basically rework things to account for the ion storm and see if he could get a clearer message or clean it up.
Sure.
Because he knows that an emergency, you may not have 15 minutes.
Right. Perfect. So we're actually going to do our first roll, friends. Woohoo!
And Bono would assist.
Okay, perfect. So with this, how this system works, you always start off with 2d6 to roll, and you have attributes and disciplines. Thank you, Justin.
20.
20.
D20.
2d20, sorry. 2d20s. D6s come in later. 2d20s to start off with, and you have an attribute and a discipline, and you have scores for certain things. There is control, fitness, presence, daring, insight, and reason for attributes, and then you have your disciplines, which are the Starfleet related items: command, security, science, con, engineering, and medicine. So with that, your attributes can't go above a certain level, which is around 15. Then your disciplines cannot go above 5. So with that, you get a attribute and discipline, and that creates what's called a target number. And that target number is the number you want to reach or below. And I, as the GM, sets the difficulty of the task. So I will say, So, Jack, to answer your question, specialties come into play with characters' focuses and will adjust the difficulty of tasks accordingly. And my players can argue with me about, how certain things apply. All characters in Star Trek Adventures also have things called talents, and these talents can affect roles or affect other people's roles, and they can use them at will. If you're a D&D person, it's kind of like how a rogue has arcane trickster rogue can do these things per short rest, but there's no short rest period. They can just always do it. Will and have argued it is correct. So with this, I'm no, Alex has definitely argued with me over things, and I appreciate it, and I love it. And I love him. To try and clear up this, I'm going to give you a insight, because you are very knowledgeable of communication systems. And I'll actually give it to you on engineering, which...
Not con?
Con is control, so that's actually piloting.
Okay, got it.
So then, Bana, you can assist with
12.
your insight and engineering as well.
And what's the target number?
So your target number will be whatever your scores are.
Sorry.
The difficulty will be 2.
Yes. Okay.
And for assisting, I roll 1 dice, right?
Correct.
Tyler, while they're doing that, how far is it to the planet?
About a 5-minute hop.
So it's in the same galaxy or quadrant.
Correct.
I have a so my insight is 10, my engineering is 2, so I had to get 12 or lower.
Okay.
I got 111 and 118, so I only got 1 success.
Okay. Bana?
My target was an 11. I rolled a 2.
Perfect.
Nice.
We have 2 successes. That means that everything succeeds perfectly, and you get information. So the information is you clear up the message that you just said, that I just said, and you hear. Hold on, I have to pull out. I'm old-fashioned. I have to print everything out. Otherwise, I don't know what's going on in my life. You hear a Dr. Heidi ship. The computer now recognizes the voice print as a Dr. Heidi ship. They are the head scientist of the project of researching. And you hear, hi, this is the... Anyone out there, this is the Starfleet Research Station on Xerxes 4. We are having significant issues with our technology and with our crew. Any assistance is desperately needed. I'm not sure what's going on here, but we need help. And the transmission ends.
Did she say issues with the technology and the crew?
That's what she said, yeah.
Now the only question is which one caused which. Either way, they're going to need medical help and they're going to need engineering.
Yep.
Nope.
Set course to Xerxes 4, I guess. Rice, do you want to start gathering the medical supplies we get on board?
Of course, Captain.
So, for our audience's information, Rakan has kind of taken the command role of the group. This system doesn't necessarily work that well when you throw everyone as an ensign or right at the lower decks. So we're doing a little bit something different. However, because Rakan has kind of taken command over these last couple of times, basically the crew looks at him as, whenever there's shit going down, the chain of command follows to Rakan, and then everyone's, working together.
He was the one who told me to Tokyo drift the Enterprise, and so I did, with the best of my ability, because I was driving.
And it worked like a charm, Trop.
It definitely
It
worked
will
like
not be an experience I will soon forget.
So, you said you're gonna head over to the planet then?
Yeah, and go ahead and if would we need to do long range scan or short range scan at this point?
Trump
Tyler?
would also try to send
So
a reply.
you could do a short range scan. That's fine. And let's do. Who's going to be running the short range scan?
I mean,
Okay.
okay.
Oh, Bryce. Perfect. Bryce, give me a insight and science roll for me, please.
A 5 and a 2.
Okay. And what's your target goal?
14.
Perfect. 2 successes. It was literally a difficulty of 0. So when there are tasks that are difficulty of 0, which are researching a widely known subject, doing a routine maintenance or repair, or something that a Starfleet officer should know how to do backwards, forwards while sleeping. What happens when our players roll then is they develop something called momentum. And momentum are chips. Well, for me, they're chips. Abe likes to take care of keeping track of momentum on a d20. So momentum, what it does is it's a pool of rerolls, buying dice, and a whole bunch of other things, such as making a NPC enemy's life a little bit harder on their task. It can be used in a whole bunch of different ways. How this crew uses is normally to buy dice, because once you start getting over a difficulty of 3, you only have 2d20s, so how are you going to reach a 3rd success if you have to reach 3 successes in one roll? So that is how we use the momentum, and as we go along, I will also inform my players that we can use momentum here to try and change the result or increase the result.
And fun fact, this is opposite of D&D, where a nat 1 is a critical success, and a nat 20 means you fucked up bad.
Correct. So, in this game system, a nat 20 is called a complication, and that is D&D's equivalent of a nat fail, and the characters will suffer some sort of loss from it. A nat 1, or a critical success in this system, means that they critically success. I give them whatever they want, basically, at that point.
Game-wise, a 1 counts as 2 successes on
Correct.
a single die.
Correct. You go to Warp, and you go there and you do a long-range scan, and what you're finding is there is a very powerful ion storm over the entire planet. Not normal. It is large. It is zappy. It will be very dangerous to try and navigate through. So what we're going to do is it just looks bad. You can't really penetrate the ion storm too much. You can tell that it is a planet that more closely reflects prehistoric Earth, large flora and fauna, which, according to your Starfleet records, that's not right. And also, because of the ion storm, there's an outrageous amount of snow everywhere.
Rickon,
Yes.
something's not right. If we're going down there, we need to go down there with the utmost amount of caution. And I show him what the report says on the screen and transfer what I can to his station.
Rakan's gonna turn around and look at Bana and go, Bana, would an ion storm cause this kind of geographical and climate change?
No, not like this. I mean, you would expect, things like communications interference. That I, on this planet, of course, but no, nothing like this.
As you're about to reach the system during this conversation, you actually get a hail on the comms, and it is coming from Narenda Station.
Captain, we're being hailed. We're in the station.
Open comms.
Runabout Galileo, this is Admiral Bara of the Klingon Federation Station Narenda. Why have you drifted off course?
We have received a distress signal from Dr. Heidi's ship at Starfleet Research Station on Xerxes 4, and we're going to lend assistance if possible.
Understood. We are actually just... You'll see that he looks over to an officer, assumably. We're actually receiving that distress signal now. You have authorization to investigate and report back what you find. We'll be sending the Insignia your way once it's out of dry dock in about 24 hours.
Thank you, sir. I'll go ahead and report. We are getting some anomalous readings of climate and geographical changes. We'll go ahead and forward that scan.
Excellent. Thank you for the report. And, happy Yuletide, ensigns. And the communication ends. So, you exit warp. And you end up right in front of a planet that is Xerxes 4. And around the entire planet, you can see it's just clouds of electricity, gray mass of just nasty. It just does not look, it doesn't look pleasant at all. Any Starfleet officer could be aware that this kind of storm is impossible to transport through. So using the transporter of the runabout, which is just directly behind you when you're in the command station, is out of the question, unless you want it to be scrambled across space. The the only course of action
tickle?
I don't think anybody's gotten a chance to ask.
Oof. So the only course of action that you will really be able to take is to land the runabout on the planet itself. Not a...
Oh, that's gonna be a bumpy ride.
Correct.
Just take it nice, drop.
So, because this is a giantly violent... Yes, Bana.
Anything I can do to enhance either shields or the inertial dampeners as we're going down? Keep saying, yes, it's going to be a bumpy ride. I could make it a little less bumpy.
Okay. I'm going to say it's going to be a difficulty of 0 to try and do a modification for you. You're relatively adept at what you do, but give me a daring and engineering roll for the shits and giggles.
Right on. I'm aiming for a 14, and I got a 4 and a 19.
Okay, so one success.
One more. Build that momentum.
Yeah.
Right.
So, great. You actually increase the structural integrity field of the runabout pretty well. Not necessarily ablative armor level, but enough to take a few extra hits, you know? Which is absolutely amazing. So, you do that before you enter the ion storm. Entering... Yes, Tribble.
Also, before we enter, given the geographical changes, he would probably run an initial scan to see if he can locate a good area that's close to the... Well, first off, is the station that we're trying to head to still there, or significantly damaged? And secondly, try to find a good spot to aim for to land the runabout near the station. He doesn't want to get through the clouds and then crash into a mountain.
Understood. The ion storm is pretty dense. However, since you are closer, you're literally on top of the planet at this point, you can get some information, but it's not going to be... there's going to be a lot of what, in the Star Trek world, sensor ghosts. as you do multiple scans, you would probably see that the station, which you can tell is made out of Starfleet metals and materials, it appears here. It appears there. But it's always kind of appearing here. Every time you do another scan, it kind of bops around, but there's always something stable. So you can get a general idea that even though there are sensor ghosts, there is a pinpoint. It's just all over the place still. And definitely, I'll give you that, and you know whereabouts you're going to be flying into. Just because, again, you're a pilot. You know how to do these things. Anything else before we enter into this ion storm?
Buckle up, folks.
All right.
Okay.
So, this is going to be a task. Because you're flying through a very hostile environment. As you enter the ion storm, I need everyone to roll me a control and medicine with a difficulty of 1. All separately, please.
Is it control and medicine?
Control and medicine.
Nice.
So 12 and a 19.
Okay, so everyone...
I was trying to beat a 12.
Okay, so success, and...
I had a 3 and a 4, so 2 successes.
So 2 successes, I've got... did I say it was a difficulty of 1? I've already forgotten.
1 each.
Okay,
One
so 1, and... Okay, 3 extra momentum. Just wanted to make sure I got all of that.
So we're up to 6.
Yes. So, great. All of you are able to avoid the bumps that are currently happening. However, Trop, I want you to make me a daring and con task with a difficulty level of 5.
And I will be assisting since we've
Alright.
worked together to fly this.
Okay.
Or fly a ship.
Control and con as well from you.
Okay, so we'll get
And
us.
can more than one assist?
We're gonna do 1 assist at this point.
Okay.
I'm gonna say Bana's probably holding the ship together.
Yes.
That's a nat
going
1.
to- I'm gonna buy 2 extra dice
Okay.
from our pool, which means I'm rolling a total of 4. Against, you said control and con?
Control and con, please.
Okay. I couldn't remember if you said control or daring.
Control and con's fine.
I'm aiming for a 13. I got a 2, a 12, a 6, and a 17. So, with
It's 5 total.
With Rakan having a nat 1, we're fine.
So you narrowly avoid 3 strikes of lightning that are happening in front of you. Somehow. The lightning literally just like shoots through you in front of you. The shields are taking a little bit of sparkly damage, but nothing too significant. I'm going to need everyone then again to give me a control and science roll with a difficulty level of 3 this time for each one of you.
Buying 1.
Bana's buying 1.
Is
How
there
many
enough
do you-
for all of us to buy one?
Yes.
Yes.
That would take us down to 0 momentum.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Alright.
Everyone's rolling 3 dice.
12, 12, and 7.
3 successes,
Yep.
2 successes. Okay.
2 successes and a nat 20.
Okay.
2 successes and a nat 1.
Okay. Here's how we're going to run this. At this point, Bana is trying to keep the ship together. And upon doing calculations at such a high speed, The ship is actually hit by a lightning bolt. And all of the sudden, the ship goes right into its normal red alert. Everything is, oop, now we're actually we have problems. Luckily, Trop, since you rolled that successful roll, what's going to happen is you're able to keep the ship on course. However, Bana, your structural integrity field broke. Basically, we are going to run the structural integrity of the ship now at like a 50%. So, with that, everyone still remains standing, though. Bryce, you get a bruise on your hand because you went a little too hard.
Bana, turn that damn siren off.
Got it.
The red alert siren is turned off. So, I'm going to need Trop, once again, 5 successes, and roll me that. Actually, roll me a daring in con this time.
And we'll be assisting again, Tyler.
Okay. That means you have 1 die to roll, and we have no die to buy.
What would you like me to roll?
Roll me daring and con as well. However, I can give you the extra die by adding to the other pool called threat.
Keep in mind that I do have collaboration, which means that the first time that I am working with another person on a task, we ignore 1 threat.
Understood. So, for buying the 3 die, I'm guessing you're going to buy the total. So you're rolling 5, or do you just want to roll 4?
I'll roll 5.
Okay. No worries. You reduce the 1 threat down, and you're able to roll the dice. Rakan, what did you roll?
17.
Does that go over your score? Okay, that is a failure. Trop.
Hold on, counting. I got 1 nat 1. I got a 6. You said it's daring and con, correct?
Correct.
So I'm going for under 12. So I got a nat 1, a 6, a 9, a 4, and a 5. So I did get all 5 successes and a nat 1.
All right. Well, this is unprecedented. Actually, it's not with this crew. They roll very well.
We bring out all of our dice that were in dice jail for D&D.
That's exactly what we do.
It's true.
All of my cursed dice are sitting right here.
Bonnie, you are deftly nimble at helping navigating this ship, which is really great because more bolts of lightning are coming out. However, Rakan, because of your failure, what's going to happen? And also, I have threat to use. A bolt of lightning is going to... A bolt of lightning is actually going to come in contact with one of the nacelles, one of the engine exports of the ship. And what's going to happen is that it's going to blow the fuck off.
I thought we were trying to avoid those.
So the ship starts to go into a spin. And once again, you hear the red alert going off, ignoring your command from earlier. And you hear that the port nacelle has been taken offline, aka doesn't exist. Everyone is tossed and jumbled. Bryce and Bana, you're at standing stations. There aren't seats for your particular station. So Bryce, you would have been knocked forward a little bit, hit your head a little bit, but knocked back onto the floor. You're just jostled a little bit. Bana, Thank you for the shaking screen. I love it.
Nikki requested that all of us do the twirly.
So, Bana, you're just going to be knocked off your station, and your station, as you're knocked off, actually explodes because it's the 24th century. We don't know what surge protectors are anymore.
We don't know. Those are in the 20th century.
True.
It's 21st.
Oh, right. So, with that, I'm going to need Alex to try and regain the ship with a control and con task of 6. It's a dangerous storm.
I know.
Okay.
Go ahead and take the dice. At this point, I'm keeping track of the threat that's being produced.
What would you like for the assist?
Daring and con, please.
8. Cool. We're good.
Okay, we got one success.
I'm gonna go ahead and roll all of them because why not? So I'm rolling a total of 6.
Hey, Tyler, how does it have to feel to have the stack of chips in your favor this episode?
It's great. Absolutely great.
Oof. Okay.
You put me on the floor so I can't jury rig.
Good.
Exactly why I did it.
Yeah.
That is a good thing I rolled all of those because I got a 5, a 3, a 6. I'm sorry, you said daring and con again?
Yeah.
So that's 12. So 5, 3, a 6, a 12, which meets and is a success, a 10, and an 18. So
You're able to regain control.
one-
You're able to regain control of the ship. Surprisingly. However, the ship's navigational systems have been knocked offline. You are still in a free fall, and you are basically on what's called manual control. It is not Star Trek Insurrection where an actual pole comes out of the bridge floor to actually move like a joystick. No, why they did that, I'll never know. But you're working with manual control. The computer cannot assist you with landing the ship. However, you can point it in the right direction. As you're working on pointing it in the right direction, another bolt of lightning slashes into the hull, going right through the shields, bringing them offline completely, and actually tearing a hole into the hull. Which luckily you're within normal atmosphere, so it's perfectly all fine. However, it jolts the ship. Trop, you can keep the ship on course, however, you are thrown onto the floor. Rakan, you are actually thrown on top of him as the ship kind of does the whole 1-2 trying to stabilize itself. Bryce, you were in the middle of getting up, and you roll me a daring and medicine.
Choose dice that aren't rolling super hot. I need to save those for Diana next week.
Yes.
Yes.
That would have been needed a 12. That was a 13 and a 14.
Ooh. Okay, so what's going to happen is you were getting up as you were trying to recover from your last bump on the head, and the jolt actually made you were in this kind of position, ready to stand up, and the jolt hit just enough to where you actually jolt and tumble mid-air as the runabout is tumbling a little bit, keeping on course but tumbling, and you hit into the station that you were working at, and sparks fly, and you are tossed back from a plasma explosion that happens due to the plasma conduits running behind the station there. So you are down on the ground, and you are, as we would say in D&D terms, bloodied. Not dead, but down. Bana, you are able to hold your footing a little bit, and Rakan and Trop, you're definitely still conscious, however groggy. That was a tough fall that you took. The ship is tumbling at this point, however aimed in the right direction. You hear unnatural crunching sounds as the storm is able to penetrate and beat the hull more. And all of a sudden, basically, Bana, since you're the only one standing at this point, you see out of the front window tree line rapidly approaching. The tree line's here, and you're coming in with a nice plane of descent. However, you're definitely going to barrel into trees, and that's exactly what happens. Barreling into trees. Tree bits
start... Is there a working station anywhere on this ship?
The working station would be the one transporter station just in front of the transporter. So that's what we're working with right now. And glass starts to shatter in because the tree, there's no structural integrity left in this shuttle. It is now just a shell of metal crashing and falling. So what are you doing as you have moments right now before you hit the dirt?
If all I can get to is a transporter panel, if I can get there fast enough, and switch to an engineering display, I'm going to try to turn on the see if there's any power left in the deflector shields to keep the trees from literally ripping the front of the ship apart.
So you can do that. I'm definitely going to give you that. And I'm going to give you, as you're standing, here's the station, and you switch over to the panel, and again, you basically start to see the ship in front of you creep in just a little bit as it's accordioning, and glass is shattering and raining over Rakan and Trop. And you see right to your left, because that's where Bryce's station is, there's the small green flow of what would have been a plasma explosion, and Bryce on the ground looking burned and very bloodied and moving. And you can see that there's breathing, but it's very faint from your vantage point. I'm not even going to have you roll to be able to save the crunching of the front of the ship. You're talented enough. There's enough power. However, as soon as you do that, the entire ship goes silent, and all you hear is the crunching and the scraping of everything as you're crashing down. Coming to...
roll for momentum.
Sure. If you want to roll for momentum, roll me a daring and engineering roll with a difficulty of... just roll your successes.
Daring and engineering is... Yeah, okay. Aiming for a 14. I got a 13 and a 19. So
perfect.
One at least.
One. So there's a thud. And that thud... you're able to brace yourself against the console in front of you to where you're just like, crap. You kind of get hit in the stomach a little bit. There's a little wind knocked out of you, but nothing crazy. And the ship is now down. It is down on the ground. You've stopped moving, and it's eerily quiet except for maybe a light breeze from the giant hole that was ripped into the hull. What's everyone doing?
Is it currently snowing on this part of the planet?
Yes, you can actually see little flakes coming into the ship. The fir tree, for everyone's information, blinked out of existence the moment they got hit by the first lightning strike. And the lights that Bana had set up had been turned just to all red at that point. So you have a stable situation, and you are what you gonna do? Are you gonna Rakan and
If
Trop are definitely breathing, and they're just rattled and working
I say
on getting themselves untangled.
if they're the most mobile, I'm going to Bryce to assist.
Okay, so I'm going to ask for this is an actual thing, first aid. It
Yep.
is a daring and medicine task. What's your target number on that?
My target number on that is medical and daring, you said, is an 11. However, I am going to invoke joined.
Okay, and which one of your past lives are you going to pull from?
3 hosts ago. This would be going backward through Jabad, Anon, and Deal. Cubis, however, who ironically enough died in a shuttle crash, was chief internist and head of pediatrics at Macaulay University Medical Center.
Okay.
He's done the thing before. So I am tapping those memories.
So I'm going to give you the fact that roll me for momentum. However, with one of your past lives having some sort of medical knowledge and in an emergency situation, we've definitely seen that your past lives can pull up pretty easily. So I just want to see you're able to do this. I just want to see how much success we can give you.
Sure. Am I rolling momentum? Am I rolling a bonus for joined? I'm trying to remember how joined works.
Yeah. Just roll me 3 then.
Yep.
But Tyler, I am conscious, just very injured, correct?
Very injured. You are conscious.
Okay.
It's just you're at the point where you can't move on your own volition.
Say, Cubis's memory serves me very well. My target for daring and medicine was an 11. I did get a 12, but I also got a 10 and a 2.
Okay, so great. We got 2 extra successes. What you're able to do is you're able to take one of the medical tricorders that Bryce had collected before everything went kaplooey, and you're able to get the plasma burns to a stable point to where they shouldn't hurt too much anymore, and you're able to get the bleeding done. However, she's going to need a Starfleet medical facility, a sick bay of some sort to be fully recovered. You don't have the type of equipment necessary here. But you can basically pick her, you can grab her, get her up and standing once again, and she can walk with assistance from you.
Now that we're on the planet, would site-to-site transport be possible?
Site-to-site transport, possible. However, the power was drained in your last-ditch effort to ensure that you haven't fully crumbled.
Okay, so not enough to power the transporter.
Rakan and Trop, at this point, you're probably waking up, and you're able to...
Rob might need an extra few minutes. For those of you who don't know, and mostly for the audience, Trop was actually involved in a very bad accident in which he basically the bridge that he was on for an exercise ended up having damage to the hull. A large hole was ripped into the hull of the ship and was, open to space for a bit. He had managed to get everybody else basically off of the bridge and into the lift. However, he was pulled back and up to the top of the ship, and then as soon as the environment had stabilized, he was dropped chest first. So he was severely injured. He's obviously in good enough physical health to still be in Starfleet, but any sort of, crash or damage, it does still rattle him a bit.
All right. Rakan, what's up?
Khan's gonna stand up, you know, basically check Trop and himself for wounds and look over at Trop and go, one of these days, I think we're gonna make one of these safely. And offer him his hand, after he gives him a minute, knowing what all's happened, and the holodeck simulation going ass over tea kettle, and now this landing.
At least this one hasn't blown up yet.
Very true. Very true.
Are you and Bryce both okay?
Me, yes. Bryce,
Whimpering.
Ricard would pull out his tricorder and see if we get a distance to where we are from the actual the Xerxes 4 station.
You can, since you're below the ion storm, obviously scanning is easy with your tricorders. And you notice that your tricorder readings definitely corroborate the fact that it is now hyperflora and fauna outside. It is, think of time of dinosaurs type large plants. And again, not something that should be happening on this planet. It is snowing because of the ion storm. However, it is a light snow. It's fluffy. It's not hard to move through. You'll be wet a little bit, but not uncomfortable, but not too cold. Starfleet uniforms are actually rather durable in the keeping you warm department. So the station itself is probably about 2 football fields away over a ravine. You'll have to cross a ravine to get to it. However, the basic layout is the shuttle ended up in a spot that you can walk through the trees.
Ricard would get to the weapons cabinet, pull out the 4 phasers, hand one to Bana, tuck 2 in his belt, and hand one to Trop once Trop joins. Since we don't know what's going on, and they said both the people and the technology were having issues, and this environment isn't what it's supposed to be. It's better to be safe. We're close. The only option is to move.
What's everyone else doing as Rakan is arming the party?
Bono would be scrounging around looking for emergency medical supplies, hoping to find thermal blankets. He's not so much worried about he's more or less uninjured and can deal with snow, but we have an injured party member who doesn't need to go into thermal shock.
As you're searching around, the command module is basically all but in disarray, and same with everything else as you go through the rest of the runabout. The thermal blankets are near the crew quarters of the ship, and you're able to find one just fine. Grab it.
Trop, as soon as he's able to, compose himself and get back up, he's going to, I'm assuming that just about every starship would have some sort of fail-safe emergency beacon that doesn't require actual power that will send a distress signal. He's going to find that and get that set up with a, we have crash landed, some of us are injured, require assistance and transport.
So yeah, you're easily able to find that. It is standard on all Federation vessels to have a black box, something that is completely independent of all of the systems in order to keep all of the logs and basically the last moments of the ship if it were to be destroyed in a way that the black box could survive. So you do that, and it does have an emergency distress signal option, and it works instantaneously with the message that you send out. The ion storm is definitely not going to help matters, but they'll be able to you were able to see a distress signal through this ion storm once before. Someone else would be.
Well, I guess when the Insignia gets here, it'll know where to beam the shuttle up so we can get our belongings.
So
Is the ale okay?
It was in a padded container.
it's in one of those really nice Starfleet padded containers that has the nice Starfleet insignia on there, and basically it's
DNA locked.
Oh yeah, it's DNA locked. It has that super nice foam in it that pads everything beautifully.
Bana may have engineered its own independent inertial dampeners just in case.
I'll allow it.
We looked at it, they're going.
I love it. So, Bryce, what's going on in your brain right now?
I need to get something to Bana, but I can't quite move. So as soon as I can get close enough to do it, if Bana comes close enough to wrap the blanket, I slip something into his pocket.
Yeah. Once he has the blanket, he will definitely come to you and make sure to stay close. He's seen your wounds. He knows what's up.
Perfect. You definitely slip that thing into his pocket. Would have Bana noticed? I mean, Bryce is not exactly sneaky, but
Bryce isn't exactly sneaky, and Bana knows what it is.
Okay, great.
He knows what to be looking for. He would also be checking the time.
So the time on planet or your chronometer.
My chronometer.
Your chronometer. It's probably it is definitely Yuletide, and it's 8 p.m. and you've probably crashed around. It's probably about 9 p.m. at this point.
So only 3 more hours.
Just about.
Okay.
So when you slipped something into his pocket, Bryce, you also slipped in 2 things. There was the one thing, and then you also slipped in a little baggie. Looked very much like the original thing, except that this baggie obviously opens. Inside there, if you were to look, would be a isolinear chip and a attachment to a tricorder. Bana will eventually be able to figure out what it is once there is time and, consciousness to do so. But to tell, that is what ended up in your pocket.
Sure. I mean, he's expecting one thing. He's not like, okay, cool. I know what that is. He's not looking. He's not thinking about it. We're just moving on.
All right. Shall you guys...
He might slowly stick a snack into the pocket. Just
amazing. I love it.
That's how he do.
Who's trying to open the door?
Rakan probably would, knowing that he is Vulcan and probably stronger than the rest of the party. He would also be looking to see if Bryce had tucked all the medical stuff that she was gathering in an away bag.
Yeah.
That he could grab.
So definitely, Bryce would have gotten things into a away team bag. Your standard over the shoulder, duffel-ish bag, not too big. Bag. Yeah, not too big, but definitely in there, and nearby where she was. So you want to go grab that?
Yep, okay. and he would look, Bryce, we're going to get you to the station. Everything's going to be all right. We've got this.
So
I wouldn't trust any other crew.
So you try the door. The power's off. So manual override is your next guess. And of course, the manual override does not work because it's Star Trek. And so how is Rakan going to try and get this door open now? It is magnetically sealed and the magnets won't release.
Do we have anything to pry with?
I
Yeah,
will
but I'm
tell you.
assuming we can find some kind of pry bar maybe to like wedge in there.
I will tell you with Starfleet officers, your standard issue Type 2 phaser can get hot enough to melt through your tritanium hull.
Oh, cool. I've got 2 of those on me. So I'm gonna one in each hand.
Okay. Go
And
you set it to basically melt metal but not to vaporize everything.
right.
And basically what happens is the door then just goes, you hear a nice creaking noise and it goes poof, and a puff of light fluffy snow just puffs out and slightly into the cabin.
Breath of fresh air.
And the air is fresh. It is Class M through and through, easily breathable air. Especially now with giant plants, it is really clean.
And cold. So very cold.
Yes, it is cold. All right, are we going to be stepping outside?
Yeah.
Yep.
What order are you
Rakan,
going
of
in?
course. Rakan, of course, knowing that everything's changed, is going to step out and turn left to like check for anything, anyone. So, and hoping that whoever comes out will continue the fan.
Okay. As you're going out, you're not noticing anything. It's pretty quiet. It may be 9 o'clock for all of you. However, it's clearly midday on the planet where you landed. So, sun's, if there was a sun because of the ion storm, it's kind of like a very cloudy day with a storm raging above you. But it's a storm of light, fluffy snow. Who's exiting next?
Rob would probably be right behind him,
Okay.
probably making sure to, if there's anything obstructing the path out of the door, like any larger chunks of snow, he'd probably kick those out of the way because he knows that the next 2 coming after him would, as few obstacles as possible to walking.
Okay. You do that. There's a couple of bits of snow that you lightly kick out of the way. It's kind of fun. It would be very enjoyable if it weren't such a deadly situation you were in.
Bana would motion for Bryce to go ahead unless she needs assistance out. He doesn't want her bringing up the rear because if she goes down, somebody needs to see to her.
I cannot walk on my own.
Okay, well then, one arm around and let's do this thing.
You do that thing. You hobble pretty much out of the runabout. And if you were to turn around and look at the state of the exterior hull of the runabout, it got a pretty bad beating. The hole is just like a gash, a giant gash in there. And the nacelle, since you actually exit on the port side of the ship, where there's normally a nacelle right, like literally right here, it's just gone.
Fires.
It just looks beat up. Clearly, this is not moving again. All right. The path, Rakan, to the station is to the north. So when you exited the runabout, you're facing the planet's west. And you just gotta and going that way. As you're checking supplies, making sure everyone's okay, taking an extra couple of minutes because this was a life or death situation and you almost lost somebody. You hear strange grunts from a little bit away, and the crunch of snowfall, the light fluffy snow, you can kind of hear it crunching, and some odd screeches. To the north and just directly in front of you to your west, you see a small group of about 6 different Neanderthal-looking humanoids surrounding the runabout, obviously hearing that you guys crashed. They are going to be throwing rocks and sticks of whatever they can find. They don't really reach you. You're still far enough away at this point. And they are also raising makeshift clubs. What's odd about these attackers, all of you can tell, that they have tattered remains of Starfleet uniforms. Pants that have turned into loincloths sort of deal. The arms have been ripped off. It's very clearly a Starfleet uniform
So
underneath
Bruce
all of
Banner
that.
hulked out.
Right. Look, think of that imagery, but your uniform that you're wearing, but ripped apart. Does anyone want to pull out a tricorder since they're still far enough away that you can get a scan on them?
Almost definitely would.
Okay.
Bana pulls out
Khan's
his,
going to be making sure that his phasers are set back to stun and not melt people.
Understood.
And things.
Bana pulls out his phaser,
Okay.
and it's not on stun.
Oh. Okay. Understood. On quick tricorder readings, Trop, again, something that you could easily read. It's not that difficult. Would you like to make a roll just to try and gain some momentum anyway?
Sure.
Yeah. Difficulty of 0, so roll 2 die for me, and roll me a... Sorry, I just need to double check. Just roll me a presence and science.
Okay. So I'm aiming for a total of 12 here. And I got an 8 and a 10. So
Great.
I'm good.
2 successes. Perfect.
Nice.
Um,
Back
so
up to 6.
you're noticing that they are Starfleet. They were human, Andorian, your standard mix of Starfleet personnel, but they've regressed. They've regressed to a Neanderthal-like state. And their DNA is regressed. It is a full-on reversal of evolution at this point. And it's very clear. Also, upon your tricorder scans, you notice the one facing the north has a Starfleet Type 2 phaser in his hand. Your tricorder blips, realizing that it is set to vaporize. But it doesn't seem to know how to hold it. It doesn't seem to know how to use it. It is a curiosity.
Bana instinctively is going to step just a little in front of Bryce.
Okay.
Prop would be relaying all of this as he's scanning.
Great. So the proto-humans are enclosing. They're still throwing rocks and sticks and whatever they can find and have the makeshift clubs, and there's only that one to the north that has the Type 2 phaser. They're going to try and make an attack at you. So there's going to be 6, and there are 4 of you. So there are going to be 3 to your west, so just outside of the runabout, and then to your north there's going to be 3, with the one holding the phaser at point, as much of a proto-human point that, they can muster. So there are combat in this game is a little interesting. If it is hand-to-hand within close range, the 5 feet rule, same as D&D, it is considered an opposed task. So the enemy will be rolling against you, and whoever has the more successes wins. Since you are currently at range, an effective range for a phaser, not that difficult, the sticks and rocks are not your problem. it's not really the problem. But the ones with clubs are encroaching relatively fast for people who are remembering how to walk. So what we're going to do combat. So it's not really structured time. I don't want to roll to see who goes first. You see encroaching. What does the party do?
Seeing encroaching and seeing that the ones with the clubs are coming in faster. Rakan knows his phaser's on stun. He would. How many are coming from the west with the clubs that are encroaching?
3.
All 3 have clubs.
Yes.
Rakan's going to go pew pew.
Okay.
At 2 different ones.
Okay. So,
like these are Starfleet personnel, regardless of not they have regressed. You know, we don't know why. We don't know if we can bring them back.
Right.
So
you don't want to kill them. Got it.
Right.
So making an attack, we're gonna choose a weapon. Pew pew. We got it. And are you non-lethal, which you've already said?
Right.
And with a phaser, it is going to be a control and security task, with a difficulty, since they're encroaching, of 1 instead of the normal difficulty of 2.
Okay.
And I would say that as Starfleet officers, you know how to fire 2 phasers at once. They're relatively simple weapons to use.
So do you want me to make 2 sets of rolls or 1 set of rolls? Since I'm 1 and 1.
2 sets of rolls for me.
Okay. So the first one is a 9 and a 6, which 2 successes.
Okay.
And the second set is a 5 and a nat 1.
Okay, great. Absolutely amazing. So you went pew. In standard Starfleet fashion, you kind of you hunkered down, you got the stance, and you went pew. And the one in the triangle, again, loose triangle, you stun relatively easily. It's
Is it equilateral or obtuse triangle?
Whatever you want it to be. Think. Use your imagination. So then you went pew. And surprisingly what happened is you were able to quickly change the secondary phaser to a wide spread. So that way you could hit the the 7-10 split, I should say.
Nice.
And you're able to knock them down. And again, they are just stunned. So they're down, and they're down for however long I need them to be. But for a while. And the ones encroaching from the north, they're actually going to be able to toss their sticks and rocks a little bit better than the ones encroaching with their clubs. So I was putting in my, correct me if I'm wrong, but I was putting basically Rakan here, Trop kind of here, and then Bryce and Bana more towards the north.
Yep.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure that we were all on the same page. So the ones with the sticks and rocks are going to throw towards Bryce and Bana. And I'm going to roll their control and security, which for sorry, I need the third packet to give me that information. Their control and security is a 6. So let's see how well they do at throwing sticks at you.
You're going to get hit with a pine cone and I'm going to giggle.
They both fail, but what you do get hit with is a snowball. Because one of them picked up a snowball thinking it was a rock. So you get splash, snowball. That's it. The one with the phaser has stopped pointing it at his face at this point because it's, Don't look at the barrel of a gun. So, it's now playing with it. It's still not really sure, and now it's like pressing the buttons back and forth, and you can hear the power setting go up and down and up and down and up and down. And
Bana is starting to panic.
is Bana or Trop going to try and attack?
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead and roll me control and security. Difficulty of 2, since your phaser is set to kill.
Yep. And I'm actually aiming for the phaser. I'd rather not kill the guy, but
Okay.
I've made it to 3 hours left.
That doesn't
An
look
18
good.
and a nat 20.
So, with you basically standing in front of Bryce, you kind of have to step to the side to get a better shot from the other two coming at you to get phaser guy. And what happens is, as you're stepping to the side, you actually catch a rock that one of the Neanderthals threw underneath the snow, and you kind of, sidestep a little too much, and the phaser, which all the rest of the Starfleet officers would be able to hear from just the hertz that it was set to kill, and actually slices one of the trees in the distance, and you just see like a tree kind of go the guy with the phaser looks at that and then just throws out his hand at you, Bana. And what he does, hold on, let me roll this.
As soon as Rakan heard that kill whine, he's not even going to look behind him. He's go, whoever just fired that, put it on stun. These are our allies in some form or fashion.
So as you're saying that, he just rolled 2 1s for the attack. So what happens is he fires, and it is the whine of Vaporize, heading towards Bana. And
Tyler, I jump in front of him.
You what?
No.
Bryce jumps in front of Bana.
Roll me a daring and security, and let's see what you get.
A 15 and a 19. I had to beat an 11.
Oh, okay. So what happens then?
Is there an assist? Is there anything? I realize I just fudged a roll. Like I
Right.
screwed, like
No,
massively failed a roll.
So what happens is you can assist, you can try and push her out of the way, but it's too fast. The moment happens so fast that Bryce jumps in front of you, and I'm guessing Rakan and Trop have turned around at this point, hearing the whine of a Vaporize phaser.
For a second time.
Trop would, at that, have been trying to get out his phaser and put away his tricorder, so he would not have been able to react.
So the whine happens, and Bana, in front of you is Bryce's hair, which had fallen out of, normal Starfleet regulation. And all of a sudden, there is no Bryce. She's completely vaporized, literally inches in front of you, from this attacking Neanderthal. And it just shows up in a like the effect that Star Trek uses is you see the flesh peel away, you see the bones, and then it's nothing. It's dust.
Trop won't check what setting his phaser is on. He'll immediately fire it at the one who's holding it.
With the power of the phaser that was just thrown from the Neanderthal, I'm not even going to have you roll a task to see if you get him. You get him. And he actually is vaporized too. Your setting, as you were fumbling, putting away your tricorder, it was also set to vaporize. So in an instant, this Neanderthal in front of you goes up again, exactly like Bryce did in front of your eyes, and the other Neanderthals run away from you. Because holy shit, people just disappeared. What magic is this? And we are actually going to go on break. Because it is time to go on break. So everyone do the things. Get up, breathe, drink some water, go to the bathroom, and we will be back in around 15-ish minutes. All right. And we're back. Welcome back, everyone. We've had a situation. One of our player characters has unfortunately passed. This is a thing that can happen in the system. This is a thing that can happen in role-playing. With Star Trek Adventures, we do have the option of playing secondary characters and having them in reserve. We are going to introduce Kayla's secondary character in time within plot. However, for now, Bana, Rakan, and Trop, you are now in a very silent crash site with no with no proto-humans, Neanderthal type people, and the sound of silence is deafening. Who breaks the silence?
In his way, Bana does.
What does Bana say?
He'd been so keyed up because, well, for reasons. He hadn't let him help. Like, he hadn't been aware of the sound or lack of because he was listening for whatever. And he turns around and takes 3 short steps and just collapses in the snow right in front of where Bryce's last footprints were. You kind of hear the sound of the as he hits the snow. He'll reach out, put his hand in the last place she stood. Just 3 more hours. 3 more. That's it. 3 short hours. And he'll pull his hand back, reach into his pocket, and pull out something almost as white as the snow itself. He just buries his face in it. I don't even know if you can understand what just happened. If you can, I'm sorry.
The thing in your hand gives a little coo in what feels like understanding.
It's going to be all right, Toulouse. It's going to be all right. I'm sorry I couldn't save her.
So, Rakan and Trop, you see this happening. What are you two doing?
Prop would pull Rakan aside for a moment and just say, Captain, I wanted to take a moment to apologize for inadvertently disobeying your orders. I was more concerned with making sure there was no further danger to the crew, and I did not check the setting on my phaser. I hope you understand.
There's no need to apologize for an action in the heat of battle. Trying to put away the tricorder, get your phaser out. It happens. We don't have time to do this now. They could come back. We need to get Bana up, and we need to get into that star base. Bana,
What?
we need to move. We don't know if there's more of them out there. We lost a crew member. I understand. But we are not safe here.
We were never safe. He puts the little white fluffy thing back in his pocket. You see him do something weird. He's feeding it a snack.
Were we close enough to hear him
Oh yeah.
soliloquy?
It's eerily silent, even with the snow falling. It's kind of like that silence that you get when a snowfall is happening, where it deadens all of the sound and you can really hear what's around you, just kind of like the back static, and also Bana.
When we get there, you'll need to explain what you meant by 3 more hours. Phasers on stun. Line formation. We'll get there. We can radio in for the Insignia. They should be here in 24 hours. We will be able to give her a proper send-off then. One fitting of such a brave crew member.
All right.
And Rakan would reach out, put his hand on Bana's shoulder, and give him the reassuring squeeze.
It's a little too hard because it's just like a little too, like just a smidge. Bana, you'd probably notice it. He's a Vulcan. He's relatively strong. However, you'd be like,
I don't go down. Is that what you're telling me? Is this
right.
a nerve?
It's not a nerve
I'm not
pinch.
nerve pinching you.
However, it's definitely, I feel like, Rakan, you would definitely just be like, we need to deal with this later. But we're dealing with this.
Rob would make sure that he locks his phaser on stun, and has it basically still in its holster but still ready, because he'll be walking with the tricorder so that he could try to give a quicker heads up in case anything else comes by.
Rakan would pull the second phaser out and hand it to Bana and walk over to where the mystery phaser is and pick it up because we don't need to leave it laying around.
You pick it up, and you obviously set it back down to not vaporize.
Yeah.
And the path ahead of you, the north path that you're having to take about two football field lengths, it's within dense vegetation. The vegetation is rough. Walking through it's going to take a little bit of time, but you're only about a football fields away from that ravine I mentioned earlier. You could probably clear the path with some phaser fire and kind of burning out scorched earth type idea to make your path, and you not having to like climb over these giant ferns, and it's an uncomfortable pathing to do. So, is that what you do?
Yeah, in Rakan's non-dominant hand, it would be scorching,
Okay.
so that we're not struggling. But at the same time, he's paying more attention to around them than in front of him.
Surprisingly, the forest is pretty quiet. This dense. You could tell it used to be a temperate forest, but reverted to more tropical, like in a temperate zone. It's very odd. Trop, since you have your tricorder out, you're reading that the plants are actually going through the same process that your attackers are going through. They are reverting their DNA out of all of the selective processes, and they're just regressing. So they have regressed at this point to their megaflora stage of their life. Probably the plants should age at a couple 100,000 years old, but your tricorder's giving them a couple 100 years old. You're burning your way down. It's a very easy walk, very uneventful. Nothing of note really is happening, and you come across the ravine, which is in front of you. There is no obvious bridge. However, there is a surprisingly large and dead tree across on the other side. Beneath in the ravine, it is about a 100-foot fall with a frozen river underneath, and what looks like drippings that have ultimately frozen over, forming basically ice spikes on the bed of the river.
So we're here. There's a dead tree standing, or
It's lost all of its leaves. It's kind of like a log at this point, a tall redwood-sized log.
I mean,
You can there are a couple options. You could climb down and walk across. The cliff face isn't that sheer. It's rocky and definitely climbable. The tree could potentially come across the ravine if you could figure out a way to slice it correctly. And you could.
Okay. How many phasers do we have?
4,
5.
5.
5.
Okay, so 2 to cut, 3 for Bana to jury rig the power supplies into the emitter on his tricorder,
Okay.
and basically create a really weak tractor beam to just guide the thing down.
Well. Okay.
Engineer's going to engineer even when he's
Engineer's gonna-
Wait. Tyler, say the phrase.
God damn it. I love you all. So yeah, for jury rigging, I'm going to give you a difficulty of 2 to jury rig the 3 phasers you said. to create
Correct.
a makeshift tractor beam. Rakan, I'm going to ask you to roll me a...
Wait a minute. Just so I'm clear, is the 2 before or after my jury rig? I'm actually invoking the jury rig.
One after your jury rig. Rakan,
Because-
make me
Because it reduces by 2.
1.
Okay.
Yeah. Then I'm going to ask Rakan to give me a control and security roll with a difficulty of 1 to do a precise slice.
Sir, I would argue that science would be more applicable here, and the focus of math and knowing the correct angle to make the slice.
Control and science it is.
What am I rolling against? Remind me again?
You're going to roll against your daring and engineering because you're jury
good.
rigging.
I was rolling for a 14, and that's a 5 and a 5. So
Perfect.
And I was rolling for a 15 and got a 4 and a 10.
Perfect. So, Trop,
Believe
as you're standing there, you're seeing your friends just deftly create a tractor beam out of phaser technology, and then Rakan doing such a precise cut. You're scanning the tree as it's falling safely towards the party, and this tree was dead before everything started overgrowing. So you have a little bit of plant DNA that has been analyzed from the before times of this planet, before whatever happened.
Rock would try to grab like a piece of bark or something
Definitely.
from it, just to, have something as evidence of what was here before all of this happened.
Perfect.
With the focus in xenobiology, I would probably recommend grabbing a heartwood sample.
So
Like taking the phaser and like making a core cut.
yeah,
and pulling
making a
out.
core cut. Yeah. Trop, you do that just fine. However, I am going to say that the party is down to 2 phasers, as 3 of them had to be used to create a tractor beam. You now have a weak portable tractor beam, though, Bana, so do with that what you will.
I will.
Going across the log is not that difficult after taking your core sample. And
Who wants the other phaser?
Give it a Trop.
Okay. Going across the log is just a simple hug, shimmy, to make sure you don't fall over. We're not gonna play tightrope here. You're gonna.
This is why they included this section in the physicals.
I mean, if it's a redwood, it's probably as big as this twin bed box.
Still
Still a curved surface.
still as flat to the curved surface as you can get, the more control you're going
Yep.
to have over yourself. And as Starfleet officers, you definitely now understand, like Trop said, why this portion was on the physical exams that you guys had to go through.
It makes me curious about the rope swings now.
Oh, phrasing. Okay. Then I'm going to ask Bana to give me a presence and security roll. Difficulty of 1.
Okay, out of curiosity, why am I rolling? Can I know?
Your little purring friend in your pocket is slipping.
Yes. Oh, shit.
Rakan, make me the same roll.
You said control and security.
Yes.
That was a success and also a nat 20.
Well, that is a success and a nat 1.
Okay. So initially, you feel this nice white fluffy purring thing slip out of your pocket, and you try and grab as you're like flat here, and you initially miss. And Rakan actually was coming up behind you and held his hand out, grabbed loose as your hand was also grabbing this white fluffy thing, and now you're both holding a white fluffy. What Rakan and Bana and Trop, you can definitely see this, would be a Tribble in your hand.
Where the hell did that come from?
I believe it
Rakan?
was. I believe it was Winstat's. If you don't know, it's not mine. Bana, is it yours?
He put it in my pocket, but no. Crewmates, meet Toulouse.
You hold Toulouse in your hand very carefully. Both you're like this, and you're like this. Meet Toulouse, you know, like this. Meet Toulouse, and Toulouse gives a little bit of a purr, which again relaxes all of you, because it's a Tribble, and what Tribbles do is they relax humanoid creatures. And welcome to our secondary character for Kayla, Toulouse the Tribble. So Toulouse is now. Go ahead.
This happens while we're on.
Oh
the
yeah,
bridge.
it's
We're still standing in the middle of this log, and
you're like
No, we're not
introducing Tribble.
standing.
you're
We're
like
laying.
Laying, that's
playing
right, that's right.
flat, trying to talk to each other. It's right. It looks ridiculous at this point. However, we've now got a Tribble added to the party. Congratulations.
From the study of xenobiology and just the history of triples in the Federation and Star Trek, or the Starfleet databases, would we know if they can understand common language, or if...
Okay, so research has been done on tribbles and intelligence, and so far most have come back inconclusive. And however, Rakan, since you are a very apt officer, and you all got dossiers on everyone on the Insignia except for the captain, you would have read Bryce's research notes, in which she was actually researching Tribble intelligence as well. And she actually made some interesting breakthroughs that weren't well documented because it was one person, and, you know, scientific study requires, you know, a whole bunch of people doing the same experiment and getting the same result in order for it to be real. However, you remember glancing through that and being like, doing the whole Vulcan, the whole Spock eye up, curious sort of deal. But you would know that Toulouse was definitely Bryce's Tribble that she was working with, and that Toulouse has actually experienced some level of understanding of what at least Bryce was talking about.
Rakan would shift his hand and pull it to where he believes the face of the Tribble would be.
Okay.
According to Bryce's notes, you may be able to understand me, Toulouse. Please refrain from purring until we get over this chasm, because you cause us to relax, and we do not need to be relaxed.
Speak for yourself.
So
You can
I don't
almost
want us
see.
to fall.
You can almost see Toulouse just.
yeah, the whole fluff ball kind of just expands a little, detracts a little bit further, and you hear a little. You don't feel purring, but you hear a little trill.
I'm not asking you
I'm
to
sorry,
never purr. I'm asking you to refrain from purring until we are back on solid ground. There is no need to be pouty and obstinate.
Yes.
As has become his habit, Bana would still have Toulouse in one hand and be fishing in his pocket, trying to find a snack.
You definitely find one. It's been there. Bryce also put a whole bunch of snacks in your pocket at the same time, and you give Toulouse a snack, and you put it. You have Toulouse in this hand. You do this, and the snack disappears. It's like there's definitely no
We don't see a mouth.
no, it just disappears.
So inside track, I believe Kayla just wanted to play a Tribble so she could have a reason to snack on.
Snack on camera.
I don't blame her.
So congratulations, you've so with Toulouse, Rakan, you would remember that it's not very dangerous to feed Toulouse, because the reproduction qualities of Toulouse were actually removed. Bryce didn't do that. However, it was noted in Bryce's logs that for some odd reason, Toulouse cannot reproduce. But Bryce...
I would assume, also being in the scientific medical field, that any Tribbles brought into Starfleet would have been engineered this way to keep them from having an Enterprise event.
Right. And it's very rare that Tribbles are entering Starfleet. It's not it's rare, but everyone knows what a Tribble is. It's actually one of the situations in Starfleet Academy you read about that you're just like, did that really happen? A lot of things that you read from Kirk's time was like, really? He fought a Gorn with a rock? What?
And we see what happened here, and we're like, oh.
I believe this is highly inaccurate, but there's no way he would have defeated a Gorn with a rock. that would be Rakan reading that story.
Right. So you get across. Bana, have you kept Toulouse out of the pocket at this point? Like, do you like, as you're like crawling, do you like place Toulouse like here to like ride along, or do you put back in the pocket?
Or we could put it in the medical supply bag.
I say, no, I'm going to do my best to get Toulouse back in the pocket. Noticing that Toulouse is not alone necessarily in the pocket.
Yeah, you reach in and you're like, why is there another fuzzy thing in here? Curiosity that should probably wait until you're off.
Till I'm not on the log.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. But congratulations, you have defeated my log trick, and you have gotten across the ravine without any issues, and you've also met your new party member. Congratulations.
It's still not as impressive as defeating the Iconium Gateway.
That was fun. Making a whole river go.
Phrasing. So
it's one bit of phrase. It was a noise.
It was an action. So
moving on.
You're all standing upright again, and ahead of you is actually only a little bit, but through the tree, a little bit of flora, but through the trees you can actually make out the distinct style of a Starfleet research base. It's relatively small. It's not large. There was only about 10 researchers here. But you can definitely see it through the trees. And it's not that far away.
How does the exterior of the building look for what we've seen occurring in the environment?
You're a little too far away to really make out any sort of minute damage. However, you can tell that it's been beaten up pretty good. A couple of large scorch marks from presumably lightning strikes, but other than that, you can't really tell much from this distance.
Trop.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, Trop would quickly scan the area and see if there are any life signs within the building.
You're getting a ping of one life sign. Luckily, you have the DNA on record from the runabout and syncing with your tricorders. It is identified as Dr. Heidi Ship. Your tricorder gives you. However, her DNA is wrong. It's not fully progressed to what you met. What you met at the runabout, but she's definitely devolving.
We need to go. We need to move fast.
Rakan, put that phaser away.
Yep.
Bana is going to take his little tractor beam and reverse polarity to turn it into a snowblower and just start pushing the snow out of the way as we walk.
It's a repulsor beam.
Oh,
Okay, Leslie.
okay.
Where do you think I got the idea?
I love you so much.
Oh my gosh. Okay, yeah. Reverse the polarity of the neutron flow, and you basically make a very easy snowblower. Beneath you is grass, dead now from being under snow for a while. However, you could tell that the grass was coarse, definitely coarse before it died. And, you know, it's not that soft grass like the yard grass, but it's like crabgrass and hard and weedy.
Not that grass you want to lay down in and roll.
No, not rolling grass.
Not the kind of grass you typically find in lush forest.
No.
Correct. So you push everything, and it only takes, I mean, it's a football field's length away at this point, so, you know, it doesn't take that long. And you arrive at the base. And now that you're closer, you can tell that their external damage is actually minor physical damage. If you were to scan it, or if you had any sort of knowledge at how much a rock would be against Tritanium Hull, that's what you're looking at.
Little golf ball sized dents places.
Literally, it looks like any sort of the proto-humans. You could assume that any one of the proto-humans attacked. The door is closed. The life sign is still inside. Moving, you can tell. And you go up to the door.
Is the access panel undamaged?
The access panel is actually scorched and burnt out.
We still have 2 phasers.
Yep. Phaser to burn a hole.
So what I'm hearing is there is a person inside, and you are going to phaser down the door.
Wait.
We'll make sure
we have
that
a way
she's not in the way.
Do we have a way? Wait. Can we
I would be able to see whether she's right behind the door or not.
ping them on our communicator?
Why don't you knock?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm assuming it's like,
Yeah,
yay
it's
stick.
door size,
But
and you know, it's the standard Star Trek door.
Okay, so that kind of door, not like a blast door.
No,
Gotcha.
no. It's your standard Star
That's
Trek
what I was
door.
imagining
Oh.
too. I was like,
Yeah, I was
Okay, sorry.
imagining blast door.
Okay,
So-
sorry.
Okay,
No.
yes,
It's your
it-
standard
yes.
like door.
If it's the normal
Yeah.
door, that I would be like,
Yeah.
You hear shuffling from inside now, and you hear the voice of the doctor, and you're like, hello?
Ensign Khan, acting captain of what was the name of our jump ship?
Your runabout was the Galileo.
Acting captain of the Galileo. We're responding to your distress call.
And I don't know, was anyone like leaning into the door to speak to it?
Yeah, I was probably close enough to make sure my voice would carry.
Yeah, so like the door's here and your nose is like, just so that way you're like really getting in between the crack of the door.
Phrasing, but yes.
Okay, I deserve that one. The door whooshes in front of you, and you're just met with a rather short lady. So you're staring eye to eye because you were like bent down a little bit, and you're like, oh. She's like, oh, hello. I, I'm. She seems to have
You
trouble.
were Dr. Heidi. You were Dr. Heidi's ship.
She shakes her head, clearly forgetting her name a little bit, and says, "Oh, right. I'm working on the regression that's happening. It's just devastating. I don't know how it's affecting the plants or it's she's losing coherence. You can tell she's trying to keep busy because there's still a part of her mind that knows that she has to work, but it's like she doesn't know how to use anything anymore. She's just guessing at this point.
Trop would,
Go ahead.
Trop would step up. Ma'am, when did this start?
We were working on we were working on a we were working on something to help with Irmatic syndrome. Irmatic syndrome? Irmatic syndrome. She's very confused over what disease. All of you, maybe even the Tribble, would understand that Irmatic syndrome is something that's currently uncurable, and they came to this planet to check out the flora and fauna to see if they could devise a cure from the plants here, which had a very high likelihood of being the things that they needed.
What does the disease do?
Irmatic syndrome is regression of the brain to where they lose personhood eventually. They forget who they are, and they eventually lose all just semblance of self and self-awareness, and just it's a terrible disease. It's much like Alzheimer's.
Is she showing the physical signs of regression that the other members did?
Yes. She hasn't really increased in size at all, but you can tell that the uniform's actually a little bit bigger on her, since she's probably decreasing a little bit in size, as, you know, she is a human. So proto-humans were the females of the time were somewhat smaller. However, you're noticing that a forehead ridge is starting. Like, the skull is changing to be more of like that Neanderthal type skull.
Tyler,
Yes, Bob.
I have a memory of you telling me we had her DNA on file, right?
Correct.
Yes.
It is her current DNA as she was scanned by Trop.
We don't have a okay.
No,
You don't have a fresh DNA scan or unaffected one. You would need transporter logs at this point.
That's where I'm going.
Trop would say, thank you. Do you mind showing me where your lab is?
She looks around, confused at where she is for a second, but then points. The building's really small, so you're in the main area, which is kind of like a little bit of a greeting area, rest relaxation area. There's a door right directly in front of you which goes into the lab, and then there's a door to your left which leads to their sleeping quarters, and that's basically it. Yes, Bana?
Bana is going to go into the lab, take Toulouse out, set a snack right in front of Toulouse, and start looking for copies of her medical records.
Okay.
And also see when the last time she transported was, to see if I can get a DNA trace out of the pattern buffer.
Okay.
Yep.
So there is a transporter inside the lab. It is a single person transporter, generally used for when starships come by to help resupply, drop people off, crew rotation, etc. Inside the lab is a whole bunch of equipment that is in a little bit of a disarray because she no longer remembers how to use the equipment. However, it's all still functioning perfectly right. Bana, you start that search. What's everyone else doing?
Started first. Eight.
Rakan's gonna see what Bana's pulling up. Rakan's gonna move to a different terminal and pull up their research documentation
Okay.
and try to start looking to find what they have done. And as he's looking, he's gonna go, Dr. Ship, I believe we ran into some of your former associates outside. Were you attempting cures on
The
members of Starfleet?
the first we didn't have anyone with the syndrome here. However, my assistant Jasper, he was the first to start showing signs of regression. Is she's shaking her head, really trying to help. And she kind of just, there's a chair behind her. She kind of just sits down and she's like, I've been working nonstop since it started, and I don't know what happened. There's it shouldn't have done that. It shouldn't have done that.
What shouldn't?
I she actually passes out. You can actually see her hands start to change in a little bit of a shape slowly into more Neanderthal looking type hands. There's hair starting to grow a little bit. The forehead ridge gets slightly bigger. She's passed out.
Do they have a stasis chamber here?
Since they're working with some medical knowledge, there is a med table. Since you're within the lab now, you can see that there's another door in front of you, which would be a small, very small, one-person med bay and doctor type med bay.
I will ask Rakan if we can get her onto the table and get her in stasis. We may be able to halt whatever's going on until we can understand it better.
Yep.
So there is a method for putting people in stasis during the 24th century. It is with a material called styrolite. We actually just watched this episode of TNG the other night. So basically what happens is Trop, with some information that you remember from your academy days all of a couple months ago, you're able to put her in styrolite, basically slowing down her heartbeat to very minimal, and brain functions, what left of them there are basically slowed down. She is in stasis. Toulouse, you were put on a counter. What's Toulouse doing?
Then snacking.
I was like, after Toulouse is done snacking, Toulouse wanders off to see if it can find some of the research that the doctor was doing.
So what no one notices as you're moving the doctor, as you're distracted by this, Toulouse takes the moment to Tribble hop across to one of the computer terminals and actually activates it, and basically starts scrolling through the information. How? There's no eyes on a Tribble. We don't know. magic, space magic. So clearly Toulouse has some intelligence. As Toulouse is going through documents, could you actually roll me as Toulouse a control and security? Actually, no, a presence and security. Do you have Toulouse's sheet up?
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Okay.
I do. 2 successes with
Great.
2 5s.
Great. You're coming across some data that doesn't make any sense. The research team was sent here on an official Starfleet mission. But there's data attached here that shouldn't be attached. Toulouse would recognize, as Toulouse has been around a while, the workings of some Section 31 files in the computer banks that you are able to easily hack into because you're very good at hacking as a Tribble. The information that you're pulling up is information about Irmatic syndrome and how during the Dominion War, about 30-ish years ago, there was a plan to use it as a biological weapon as a failsafe. This is the only record that you can see of, and you, as someone who's familiar with the existence of Section 31, would know that it's something they do. However, it's not something that Starfleet would take lightly or really use unless in absolute desperation. As everyone's turning around from putting the poor doctor in stasis, Toulouse is actually hopping off the terminal after getting this information. However, kind of like bouncing next to the terminal. Kind of like, I found something.
Just making the little trill noises.
Just little trills. Not purring, but like, trying to say that you found something. And you see this Tribble, all three of you see this Tribble next to the terminal, hopping.
Bono would be like, how the hell did you get over there? Walk over and kind of set Toulouse aside. Toulouse gets a cookie. And then he looks at what she's been reading.
You find Section 31 information. It is highly classified. This shouldn't be at this terminal or at this base or really anywhere. And what you see is there was a plan to make a biological weapon using Irmatic syndrome as the agent. It does affect all humanoid bipedal races of the galaxy. No one is immune, and Starfleet has been working on a cure for it. However, normally incredibly rare. However, as you scroll more, you realize this station, this base, has samples of the live virus and samples of a starting
Potential cure.
the starting of a way to make this more spreadable.
Well, friends, it looks like our other bosses were up to something here.
When you say that they were looking to make it more spreadable, were they looking to make it spreadable through the air or the water?
Both, you would see.
Which one did they seem closer to?
Water.
Do not drink anything while we are here.
Do not ingest anything that is on the planet. I recommend that everybody immediately find, I'm assuming there would be at least one decontamination shower, because we probably have snow soaked into all of us right now.
Decontamination showers are actually just sonic showers. So sonic showers in Star Trek are basically you take the transporter particles, the light particles, and you just get rid of everything. And it's not actually like water or anything. However, there is definitely a decontamination shower, like right in it's a science lab. It has to be right there. So
Yep.
if everyone would do that, you do that.
Whose entry was Rakan's gonna like scroll to see whose entry this is attached to, which of these users, if it was Dr. Ship, if it was her assistant.
So the name on the entry is partially redacted, but you do see the name Jasper. And if you were to look further, which I'm sure Starfleet curious, there's also personal logs attached to this log.
Digging as deep as we can go, because this is a bigger problem, especially with Rakan's dig into virology.
So, in the personal logs, you watch a few. Dr. Jasper is conflicted. Also recruited by Section 31. And didn't really have much choice. However, his lover, Heidi Ship, was the foremost expert in rheumatic syndrome and attempting to cure it. So he was a well-planted agent. Heidi didn't know anything about what Jasper was doing with the samples and everything from the planet. It is very clear that the things from the planet are meant to help exacerbate rheumatic syndrome and not make a cure, but make it even worse. The last personal log you see is slightly transformed Jasper. Still has his medical faculties about him, but clearly the physical transformations have started, and he basically swears off Section 31, and he just goes and he's just crazy with anger. And the log cuts just as he smashes his hands down. And that's the end of his personal logs.
Con, we should make a copy of this and then destroy it.
Agreed. Rakan's got to pull out his tricorder, which is still off the grid.
Yep.
Download this full file, this personal log, and then wipe it.
You go ahead and wipe it. However, starting the wiping process has triggered the red alert to go off in the base. The computer then says,
self-destruct sequence initiated.
Son of a...
Get out.
We can't leave the doctor.
The screens on all of these terminals of the
Tactical alert.
of all of the terminals give you a 5-minute countdown. This is clearly, as anyone would know, Section 31's game. Anything is found out, any information is removed, you blow the place up. Make it look like an accident.
Would we know if, being Starfleet officers, would we know if you can move a person in stasis via Sterilite?
You can. It would require a hover dolly. And you could definitely do that. There is a hover dolly just in the corner, fully functional.
Toulouse is trilling to the sound of the alarms.
How sweet. So surprisingly, you're calm.
Bana would just calm Toulouse down with another snack. And
No, I'm doing the purring, trilling thing. So
Oh, you're trying to calm
everybody
people
else
down.
is calmed
Yeah,
Okay,
so
down.
okay.
surprisingly, you're calm in this situation, but you realize the gravity.
Trop, Bana, get the hover dialing, get the doctor, take Toulouse.
Try to copy
Oh.
anything that you can find.
look, our best chance of being able to beat any of this is still to recover data here. Let me shut this damn alarm off and see if we can keep it from blowing up. You two can handle a hover dolly. Come on.
I can handle a hover dolly on my own, to be quite honest.
So what does Bana want to do?
Bono wants to stop the self-destruct sequence.
Okay, great. And Trop, you're just gonna get the hover dolly and get the doctor out. Rakan, what are you doing?
He's got a-
Rakan is still. Go ahead, Trop.
I was just gonna say, Trop's got a medicine score of 4. He's dealt with transporting unconscious people, probably in sterilite before on a hover dolly, so he knows how to manage that.
Good Lord, we all some medicining people, except for Bana.
Oh, right. So, Bana, you want to try and circumvent Section 31's failsafe of destroying this place in case anything was figured out.
Fact.
Okay.
While he's doing that, Rakan's going to be focusing on pulling as much data as he can, because if they had people becoming test subjects under Section 31, and Dr. Ship is the foremost expert on this. With willing test subjects, her research is going to be leaps and bounds ahead.
So, I'm going to ask Bana while you figure out how you're going to do this. I'm going to ask Rakan to roll me a daring and command roll with a difficulty level of 2 due to the fact that the computer is fighting against you and actively attempting to delete data.
I'm going to roll these 2 dice. Tyler, that's 2 nat 1s. If you would like pictures, let me know.
Jesus Christ. All right. So, you're able to deftly tell the computer to, instead of deleting the data, dump the data. You're still telling it to do what it's supposed to do. It's just going onto your tricorder now. So, it happens, and you get all the data. All the data. The computer banks are now in your tricorder. Your tricorder, however, is now full as fuck.
We have everything, Bana. We can still blow this place to shit now. So they think that they were successful in what they were doing.
All right.
That
We'll
will
do this
cover our asses and our asses under Section 31.
3 minutes.
Fine. Y'all start running. Bana is going to reverse plans and turn up the juice. If we need this place blown, it's going to get blown.
I'm not even going to have you roll for this because an engineer
Basically, the theory goes, normally what happens is you have a reactor somewhere on station, right?
Right.
And under normal operations, deuterium is used to regulate the reaction.
Correct.
I'm just going to clamp all the conduits shut and run like hell.
So you're going to prevent the failsafe systems from attempting to vent and make a more controlled explosion, and instead you're going to clamp everything shut and just watch it go to Kingdom Come.
I'm going to force a warp core breach.
So
Do you make that? Do you say that so we know how far and how fast we've got to run?
Yes. Actually, no. What Bono will say is, just don't stop running.
Who has Toulouse?
Bono will.
Okay.
Anna did already say that he
Yeah.
put the Tribble in his
Yep.
pocket and
Okay.
gave it to Peace.
So
Let's go, Trop. We can only trust in Bono.
Trop,
Have the data.
you're running.
Trop would have been on his way out the door once he had the doctor on the hover dolly.
You do. It's not that difficult. It's a hover dolly. It's meant to repel gravity. You
And go over rough terrain.
So, Bana, I'm not even going to have you roll because you're doing the engineer thing, but backwards. Which, if an engineer can fix things, they can sure as hell break something.
I'll break them. Right.
So,
Hey, just for giggles, can I roll from momentum?
I mean, you have a fuck ton, but sure.
Fine.
We've only got 10. That's not a fuck ton.
Oh my god, that's enough.
That's enough for the next 10 minutes.
All right, fine.
So what you do is you set a program, a recursive failing program to constantly confuse the computer from releasing any sort of fail safes. It thinks it is, but it isn't. And it only takes seconds to set up, and the 2-minute warning blares across the announcement. The computer, if it had any sort of personality, it almost sounded worried. Do you start running?
I do, and I have the repulsor in my hand. As soon as I get to that ravine, I'm going to use it like a pole vault.
So by the time that you get to the ravine, Trop, Rakan, and Hover Dolly have reached the other side somehow. It's Star Trek. I don't have to explain it. And we're running away. And you see...
Hover dollies can be programmed to go in a straight line, so...
So you see Bana on the other side, and you're like... Do you shout across that there's 2 minutes till it blows?
No, I yell, just keep running.
You actually
What did you do?
I'll explain later. Run now.
You actually, go ahead.
Trop hears Bana say just keep running, and he doesn't even wait for Rakan. He just takes the dolly and goes.
So Rakan, I'm gonna say that you're probably running backwards because he's your crew member. You need to make sure that another one doesn't die under your command. Trop,
Honestly, your con probably would have stopped at the edge to make sure Bana made this.
You've calculated 2 minutes. He can't possibly make it across the redwood in a time. So Bana,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have you roll.
Damn well bet you are.
So let's you're gonna do daring and you're gonna do engineering. And it's gonna be a 2 because why not?
We've got 9 minutes of show left. And 10? Was that 10? Is that right?
10 momentum. It was like a rolling wall. Can't fuck this up.
I'd like to live through this if I can possibly help it.
We'd like you to live through it.
You know what? 4. We'll keep it at 4.
Okay, I was about to say, you do realize you've rolled 2 nat 20s this session. Do you
I
really
do.
want to go that hard?
Okay, you're rolling 4 dice. Go ahead. You're using 2 momentum.
No. I'm rolling 6 dice.
Oh,
I bought 4.
okay. Got it.
Oh, we're all
Not
gonna
like-
die.
It's not like momentum goes to the next session.
We don't know if it
Correct.
does or not. We haven't asked that question.
Yes, we
It
have.
It doesn't.
It does not.
Okay. So that's 4 successes.
Okay.
And
So
2
not only
failures, none of which were natural 20s.
Oh, thank God.
Okay. So Rakan,
So you
this
do
is
it and you do a couple flips.
so this is what you see. Bana has the still repulsor setting on, and what you see is Bana literally points it towards the ground, and jumps at the same time and basically hits the gas for him to literally go boom. And you see him go completely up and land feet first right next to you, but facing towards the way you should be running.
And he just keeps running.
And he just keeps running. But
much fun does
Rakan,
Balloon
do you
have while he's
run?
in that
You've got
pocket?
1 minute left.
Yes, Rakan's gonna sit. It's gonna take him a second to go, and then turn around and run like hell.
Okay.
Kayla, how much fun does Toulouse have while flying in Bana's pocket?
Luce has no idea it's flying. It's just snuggled in the pocket
Oh.
with snacks.
I imagine you would have felt the oof, and just been like,
Just be like, all right. So,
Reflexively, he would check to make sure Toulouse is there while he's running.
yeah. Toulouse is there. You're fine. You make it back to the crash land site, and it's still just as shitty as ever. However, a snowstorm is starting to prop up just as you hear a final siren go off from the
get in the
base.
shuttle, get in the shuttle, get in the shuttle, get
Hope
in
this
the
is far
shuttle.
enough. Hope this is far enough.
In true this crew's fashion, you blow something else to Kingdom Come. What happens is a spectacular flash of just white light. It is practically a beam of light straight upwards and fireball completely upwards. It's not necessarily a mushroom cloud. However, if it were a mushroom cloud, you definitely feel the shuttle rock. You hear the crashing of a giant wooden tree into a whole bunch of shattered ice. And the flow of water as it crashes into the river below. And what happens is the shuttle shakes, but the shuttle shakes. You're all unharmed, you're all safe, and you all can breathe a sigh of relief that Bana decided to critically blow something up. Again.
Well, if they didn't know where to look on the planet before, they sure will now.
Luce is just purring in Bana's pocket.
The smoking crater. Yes, I believe that will be a huge giveaway. How did that affect the ion storm directly above the explosion?
It actually made the storm a little bit worse. Since there was a snowstorm already brewing, it kind of made it a little bit worse. However, it just looks like your standard storm. It doesn't look like the ion storm itself is it's still not letting up, but it won't go any worse than what you're already happening.
So the wind picks up for a bit and then
Right.
dies down.
So I'm going to fast forward us a little bit. I'm going to say that you all take some time to relax. This has only happened within a couple of hours, and you've got about 20 some more hours before the rendezvous with the Insignia.
Gathering firewood, lighting a fire, setting up the emergency blankets. We're trying to make this survivable for the next 20 hours.
Which is very easy. Trop, you were going to say
Have a
something?
chimney in the top. We can seal up the door.
Yeah, exactly.
I was gonna say, still making sure to not, ingest anything,
You have ration packs.
Yeah.
Yep.
You've got the emergency ration packs, which even in the 24th century taste like wood. Like, how? But they still taste like wood.
I've had some delicious MREs.
So
These aren't those.
Oh, this is the chili beef.
So
It doesn't even have the jalapeno cheese on it.
you tuck in for the night, for the rest of the 20 hours. So, a little bit. the storm outside is, raging a little bit, but you're protected from the elements. You're not going to freeze. You have phasers, which can keep you warm. You can keep, the firewood going and burning, and you have the vent. Are you guys going to do anything during the night before you fall asleep?
Toulouse wants to curl up and cuddle in the crook of Bana's neck.
Bana's just steady scrunching and feeding snacks. And in a quiet moment, when no one else is paying attention, he'll kind of lean into Toulouse a little bit. One of these days, I don't know how, you're going to explain to me how you have a 40-year service record.
You just get just snuggles back in.
Just keeps with the snacks.
Are you going to look at anything else, or?
I'm waiting until everyone else is done.
Yeah. The problem is he needs to figure out a way to get his hands on a non-modified tricorder because his is busted. But yeah, he would definitely. I mean, he's steady going for snacks, and there's something else in his pocket.
What you see is an isolinear chip. An isolinear chip is basically a USB drive, however, with both a processor, RAM, and memory on it, all very highly advanced, and uses some sort of optical light to transfer the information. Something's on there. However, you don't have really the tech to look at it. Also, in that little pouch, you notice that there's a little device. It could probably go on a tricorder. In fact, when you would pick it up and you would actually throw it on the tricorder, like you would any sort of tricorder accessory, it's kind of like a maglock. It maglocks perfectly. So clearly it was meant for a tricorder, but nothing happens with your tricorder, as, it's got a whole bunch of information on it right now. And
well, his is a repulsor beam right now.
Yeah, mine's currently a repulsor beam.
Mine's the one that's chock full of information.
Rakan's is full.
Yeah,
Trops is the only one that's not been modified.
So you would, as an engineer, you see that this was not made by an engineer. This was made by someone who works in sciences. They don't necessarily understand how to make connections or anything. But even with your special eyes, you can tell that this might have something to do with Toulouse. As the next day rolls around, Trop, are you going to be doing anything?
I think Rakan was still saying what
Okay.
he was going to be doing for the evening.
Okay, Rakan.
I wanted to wait.
So after everything's settled, Rakan's gonna sit down across from Bono and look at him. Would you care to start at the beginning?
Why? I'm pretty sure you figured it out.
Because apparently you knew something that if you would have shared, today might have turned out differently.
No. You think I didn't think of that? I saw her service record. It didn't say how. It just said when. And I asked the one person I knew I could trust to tell me how to save her. And he said it couldn't be done.
Trop, do you hear this conversation, or are you doing something else?
Trop would be over by Bryce's quarters. He would have found some sticks from the outside, possibly any with leaves on them, and would have set up as best of a facsimile of a tree as he could, and is just he's taking a moment in her room if he has access to it, not touching anything, not disturbing anything. And he uses his tricorder to do a little bit more research on human Yuletide. And if anybody else is listening, hold on, there's damn ads. I'm sorry. I had something queued up to be nice.
Old Lang Syne plays over his tricorder as it fills after Murkan and Bana have take a moment in their conversation. It fills the very silent runabout. And as the second chorus is coming along, you actually hear a blip in all of your tricorders. And you hear this play over it.
This is Lieutenant Commander Dax of the USS Insignia. We are sending a shuttle down to retrieve you. Hold position and standby. Oh, and happy Yule, ensigns.
A message from the USS Insignia. They have arrived early, and you hear a message from Lieutenant Commander Dax. Bana, you would understand who Dax is. They are also a Trill, and your rescue is on their way. And that's where we're going to end tonight.
One thing. Rakan would look at Bono. We'll continue this later. And he's going to reach into his floating case and pull out a bottle of the Romulan Ale and walk it into Winstat's quarters and leave it on the bed.
And to Rakan's retreating back, Bana would say, "Yes, Captain."
Amazing. Great job tonight, friends. I love y'all. We went a little over. So
5 minutes, we're good.
Just 5 minutes.
So we're gonna go around the table again, introduce ourselves again, and I'll say a couple words, and then we'll move over to the credit screen. So, Justin, who the hell are you?
I the hell am Justin. I have been playing Bana and Dari, joined Trill, and not really great liar apparently.
Amazing. All right.
Where can we find you?
Yeah. Right. I do things that aren't here.
You do things.
You think I hadn't been on a stream before? And in fact, I'm DM on one next Tuesday here on this very channel. We will be in session 6 of Saving Face. Please come and join us. God, yeah, and thanks. Yes, Skippy TPE on all of the Twitters.
Yes. We love you, Justin.
It's in chat because Nikki's great.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki.
Toulouse/Bryce.
Hello, my name's Kayla. I have played Bryce, your human scientist that hopefully you didn't grow too fond of. And then our little fuzzy friend Toulouse. You can find me on Twitter at KMC_. You can find me here on Twitch at KMC. I do paint streaming every other Thursdays and every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. You can also find progress pictures and whatnot on my Twitter. You can find me on Tuesdays here, every other Tuesday here, as Diana from Saving Face. And I'm just out and about everywhere else.
Just about. Yeah.
Just about. The small finds their place in small places.
Yes.
With big hearts and big friends and family.
I guess that means it's my turn. I'm Abe. I've been Rakan, your impromptu captain.
Vulcan captain.
Vulcan captain. You can find me here every other Tuesday as Marge on Saving Face. Here, of course, the occasional Saturday evening as we do Abe Plays for
Maybe.
whatever the family picks.
We'll figure it out.
Yep. Sundays on Sunday morning brunch and wherever else I'm invited to. Thanks for coming on this journey with us.
And
Anything else, eh?
Oh, you found me on Twitter at _Aloy.
there you go.
I'm thinking about changing it. Don't pressure me.
And Alex.
Hi, I'm Alex. I've been playing Trop, the Denobulan Helms and Comms diplomat of all things. You can find me at Alex the Rainbug on Twitter. You can also find me on Twitch at Rainbug Collective, and you can find me on YouTube at Rainbug Collective as well. I mostly do streams. I have my own stream every Saturday where we are playing Skyrim. You have my stream every Monday evening with Tyler as we go through Elder Scrolls Online. And I take part in a couple of other sessions as they come up, like this one. So you'll probably see me out and about and other people's stuff. And thank you guys so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. Otherwise, you can just check my Twitter, check my Twitch, and see what's going on.
And I'm Tyler. I was the GM and heartstring puller and destroyer of Bryce. I do want to let you know that our players do talk a lot behind the scenes and confirm player relationships, choices, and everything. So believe me, everything is consensual around here. We do have safety tools that we use. We use the same exact safety tools as Safing Face. If anything, thank you. If anything were to be a stop stream, the red card would be pulled, and you would have seen an oh shit screen. And you would have seen that if we had technical difficulties. But surprisingly, today was...
It's not a face episode.
Right. Weird. So just want to let you know we will be here every other month. In between Two-Face episodes at this point. And in between, we will actually be having sessions with these players to determine what's going on. Those will be recorded separately and released. We are still planning on where we're going to release them, but you'll hear about them. And I just want to thank everyone who stayed here and watched us tonight. Again, this is something very special to me, and I'm really glad that my players looked like they had some fun too.
Yep.
So we're going
before we go. Thank you, chat, for being here. Thank you, Tyler, for GMing this adventure and putting in so much hard work.
Yes.
It's been crazy. Y'all don't understand how much hard work Tyler's put into this. This has been like his brainchild for like the last 2 months, if not longer.
So much longer. So much longer.
Wait,
Weird way to pronounce years. I don't know what.
Wait. You were the best of what the queue has become.
Aw, thank you. But yeah, no,
All right, you get back to bothering Picard.
The intro song, little note, the intro song that you heard and the outro song that you're going to hear, I actually have had planned for 2 years. I wanted this originally to be an audio series, but I was fortunate enough to come across tabletop players that wanted to be a part of this adventure. Stay tuned for episode 2 in February. It's going to be on February 16th. It'll actually be my birthday, so it's my birthday episode. And we're going to have 2 guests, which will be revealed soon. TM. And it's going to be very great. It's be very
Super excited.
We're going to go over to the credit screen now, and we hope y'all have a wonderful night. Please take some time, get up, stretch, and do the things, as Kayla would say. All right?
Do the things.
Do the
Take care of
things.
yourself. Love yourself.
Bye.
Eat, hydrate, and take your meds.
We'll catch y'all later.